But I think the batteries last quite a while. Well, I think, maybe from 5 to 15. Oh, really? Battery, all right. We'll give you a good help here. Yeah, there you go.
We're on when you're on.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call September 10th, 2025 meeting of the Ocean Highway Port Authority to order. At this time, everyone will stand for the invocation led by Vice Chair.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come and gather. We ask that you be with us tonight. Give us wisdom in making the decisions that have to be made for the taxpayers of Nassau County. We ask that you be with our police and fire, our military. God, that you would just hedge them in and protect them. We ask that you would go with us now, guide us and direct us. So we ask in Jesus' name. Thank you.
I love the student life, the United States, use it for your says what you should. You listen, we justice.
Commissioner Moore,
We are
Commissioner Hill,
here.
Secretary Treasurer Cole, Vice Chair Nelson, Chair Taylor. Thank you.
So welcome everyone for being here. I know our 2 weeks ago, a little while. So thank you for coming back, and hopefully we won't be here until we kick out 9:30. Uh, we do not have public comments on non-agenda items. So our attorney report, Tammy.
Thank you. I have, so I've been working for the last 2 weeks with Rosanna, Commissioner Hill, responding to some discovery and property appraiser litigation. So we've been spending time on that. And then today, the only really report, obviously I'm involved in most of what's on the agenda, is I received a call from Amy Polson, the attorney with Savage Relay. And this is about revenue sharing, the letters that from the springtime that I hadn't responded to, but instead called when we were talking about the obligation for OPA to pay the pilot payment of $50,000 and that the facility fees that we've collected, we have a little over 36,000. And the operating agreement, the property insurance, and all that. So today she left me with the $50,000 that we do not have for October 1st, that they would be willing to pay that, supplement the 36,000, but they would like the OPA board to reconsider your decision on the fabric warehouse and be willing to work with the operator on that issue in order for them to make up that difference. And I did ask her, is that what you want me to report? And that's what she wanted me to report. That doesn't mean that we have to make a decision tonight, obviously. You know, I just heard this within the last 2 hours, so I haven't really had much time to think about it.
Yes.
Could we just start with she didn't consider a decision? Well, the decision that the board made was to pull the permit application or pull a demo permit, pardon me, and move the warehouse. And that's that decision to bring it back to the board to reconsider some other solution.
So she's asking for reconsider leaving the warehouse in the setback and exchanging.
I didn't get any specifics, but to be willing to work with the operator on something other than moving it into the corner. I'm going to discuss that tonight. And I don't have the details, and I think it was just, that is the status as of today.
Be fair,
I'm sorry.
I don't have any detailed news to this. All right,
So that's my report, not an action item. That is information I'm providing you now. There isn't an action item on the agenda tonight. Obviously, we have the fabric warehouse coming up to talk about, and I know that there's some graphics to show because Ted asked for us to show where we want the warehouse, where the OPA wants the warehouse. So that's coming up. I think we have to probably process this and um, we can talk about it tonight at any point, obviously.
um, any questions for Katie? We can get to this, two items today to be, so we get there. Any further questions? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, the accounting reports here.
So you have the treasurer's report package. So obviously we received the quarterly fee from the operator. And then just the normal expenses, a bunch of money, nothing unusual, paid for big pay, for $1,000, $5,000. So any questions on that? And then obviously the 7 day balance. So I would say, so obviously, September 15th, is the day your question for the operator to send over the amount of money that's collected for the fee today, so that we can make the payment. Obviously, the pilot payments due October 1st. So I'm not sure if we're having such a meeting to come up with that. But obviously that check will be ready. Either way, on October 1st, for us to make that payment. So any questions on the treasury report? All right, so the budget, obviously, no action, so still, obviously, I'll just point out that, we are waiting for reimbursement on some of the salaries for the attorney. So, but remember that we don't have much carry forward. We talk about the fact that we can't have deficit in our budget for the 2025. The only item that we received today of any change here is the rent for the tech center. The increase was 3.2%. So I have not updated this in the same sheet that we were looking at last week, but just a minor change. We had 3% built into the budget that you're looking at. So as I said, the tech center came back and the cost of living for the fact that they use, if they're using a slight, I'll just say they're using a slightly different fact. They're using the all consumers, but for the southern states, we use all consumers index national for our, so those two don't necessarily, may or may not be the same. So the last time I checked, the all consumers is running a little less than 3%. So I was a little surprised they came in 3.2%, but I will check that. And I said at the next meeting we'll have, because that number comes out on September 11th. So that will, at our next meeting, we'll have the official number. We'll present you the official increases to the operator for their budget for next year, for the next contract year, stuff like that. Right? So that's the budget.
Sure, so you get back to the needs, that like where the policy maybe doesn't reflect the recent job.
Yeah. I think it's down to less than
8,000.
85,000. And obviously you're looking at 5,000 per city a month. 5,000 something. It's been one money.
All right, so we have, gotta get a budget, in place, budget in place, October 1st. So we're kind of running out of time here to ask this question and make those suggestions. I do have a question, here regarding, so out of the last meeting, we made a decision on the website vendor, that since, she's had to make a little bit of changes, to that, that's all the changes and stuff tonight. Since in there will be some, recurring expenses, but then there's a big chunk for the website implementation or design. Should that be Is but the, well, yeah, it's gonna come out of the reserves. So we gotta go for, or it is in the budget bill that 8,900 is in the budget bill, which I believe, again, the numbers are a little shifting constantly. So, with the vendor account, but I believe that is the current realistic price for the full year for including the operations and website and stuff like that. So 8,900. So that's what we have budgeted in there. Plus another 500. So that's online and website and IT support. So there's $500 for IT support and then $8,945 for the website redevelopment. So that is included.
Explain that the audit fee had gone up because we, grants and real estate see the certain threshold.
No.
No,
So the, sorry,
two separate audits.
that fee is not included. If we have grants of more than 750,000 and we require a single audit for that particular grant program, that's an extra 5,500. That fee has increased from previous year, which I think it was about $3,000 previous year. But that's not included in this budget. We expect the operators, since they're the beneficiaries of the grant, to pay that.
Here's from the,
If you need a single audit, if there's more issues on $750,000 grants for the 24-25 year, which is an audit that's coming up, there would be an additional $5,500 charged above the audit fee. The audit fee is just for our normal audit. So there would be, and it's 5,500 per grant program. So a couple of years ago, we actually had two of those charges. So it just depends on where and the timing of the money and all that kind of stuff. So whether it would be 100 this year.
Mr. Chairman, is
Yes.
question? Pierre, so is that 750 collectively, all the grants in 1 year, if they add up to 750
Yeah.
or more?
But I think like warehouse, it was only 500 because it's 50 match, right? So it's only $500,000.
Yes.
Right? So, you're even under the answer to this question. A board like ours, with the revenue, how much, what percentage should go to salaries, or is there any kind of a, we're looking at 47% of our budget goes to the salary. So I know we're allowed, but what should that be? There's no, obviously your salary, you're talking about your salary, but it's set by statute, right? So there's no set amount. I mean, obviously the big fees were, that were negotiated in the contract, including the budget for that. But no, there's no benchmark that we could, kind of, everyone's different. I mean, some of the other boards, again, are regulated, and mosquito control board would be $400. So again, very different, and they have a much bigger budget, right? So and many more employees. So again, it's just, and that's just limited by one statute.
Once you look at the budget, say, orders, preference, we have. It really is all revenue.
Much different. So it's very hard to find a comparable report is that only had, remember, a single entity, single contract, and with them have multiple contracts that means you have employees, et cetera, et cetera.
So it used to be that the revenue is totally low.
For
The work, for the. Whenever we had bonds, direct bonds, debt, other was.
so no, because so remember, I mean, obviously before in the old contract, the fixed fee was $80,000. And then things like then specific things like the Port Council, the audit fee. Yeah, the previous pre-2018 contract, right? When we had bonds, right? So our the fixed fee for the port was limited to $80,000, which is why their salary was lower at that point because you didn't have fixed fee to do it.
So that was limited by the contract agreement. So all the rest of the money went from Morgan to the bond trustee, who then allocated that money out either to towards interest, or, as I said, to pay for some of the specific items, like some of the $80,000 not include audit fee, it did not include the Florida court scout fee, some of the specific items, the insurance wasn't included in there. That was all speak up specifically from as an additional charge. And what was going to, yes, what was going to the bond council was the copies of mortgage changes that were being charged for OHPA, that they were specifically to cover the bond, right? So that was all going to the bond trustee. We had no control over it, other than make, and all requests for any additional funds had to be jointly agreed between Morgan and the board. And so if there was no agreement, then those funds stayed in the bond trust. So again, specific item was paid for. Because we don't have any more bonds, obviously that arrangement changed.
I think it's helpful to understand how that one that affected revenue flow.
And the bond debt, and as I said, Kinder Morgan can add that as much money as possible goes to pay out of debt. Because I'll just point out, after 27 years of paying on the bond, there was still $10 million on the outstanding. So again, they were adding that all money, so they're trying to as much money as possible. And it goes to the bond.
What was the original one?
I think it's 30 million, but pretty sure.
But what about that company? That, or that only maybe.
Oh, yeah, that's the $1,500, yes. So so obviously the administrative fee for the bond is what he's talking about, for the conduit bond, which is the money you received last month. So we bill this bond trust $1,500, yes, we're still getting that. For, much different arrangement, because remember, those bonds are in the name of Ocean High Report, guaranteed by Kinder Morgan, as opposed to the condo bonds, which essentially Ocean High Report, no responsibility for, but those are the operators legal.
You look like numbers. Yes, Japanese. Yeah, all in smart to those out.
I think we're moving it up. The things that have to be done. I don't know if it's with you, but we're on the now. Like you said, and one is. That all
So, and Bishop 4, Bishop years ago, Bishop that we're looking at negative $25,000. You cut $250 off on salaries, totals 15,000. Got $500, there are 30, and you have over yeah. So but it's it's like in business, when you look at this, gotta look at where you've gone through this. There aren't many options.
don't not. Sort of a little bit.
What's it? But yeah, so there are tough decisions that happen through.
No,
Just gotta keep in mind, it's the last meeting, it's all that, that's the meeting, finalizes.
all right. I make a motion that we, make the, payment for the police council. $15,000. That's right.
All right, so we have a motion, to eliminate four courts council, reduce the four courts council, from Commissioner Moore, second from Commissioner Cole, any discussion?
Mr. Chair, that's for the total amount of 15,500.
15.5, yes. But is that correct? Or-
Yes.
For discussion?
So, did this for the presented as well as, the board of works housing serves statutory and board function, the board of works, which all often independently, competitively, both other boards. There's a really unique structure with, as compared to Georgia, of course, authority, which is directly, managed by the state of Georgia. And they can just pull revenue from, one board, just wants to live at the state level. And so the protocols are different. We are all competing with one another, and this is the one opportunity for us to have an impact at state level to influence, look at the what's in the building, forget, and we'll receive your policy, it's a voice to support for the, and we are small board, we received the midnight watch recently, we're having, attended the board of works council meeting. And, the board of works council also serves as the administrative body for FSTED, they have a separate board, separate administration. But the FSTED funding is basically the board of Department of transportation helping directly for STEM to concern. And that may seem like, politics, amazing, like PC is just politically, that bad on the talking, but it is the legislature has the first string, so like it or not, the way the money comes to the courts is through that function in the legislature, allocating the money to courts and understanding the importance of courts to the economy of state role. And so without law, we would not have the funding that we need to keep in public court. And frankly, if we don't intend to apply for grants, care about funding, or care about access funding, we shouldn't be a public court. And then we wouldn't have a public court. And so to say that we're not going to be a member of the Public Works Council, or that we're not going to pay administrative fee to the Public Works Council is in order to balance our budget, and not take salary. It's rather self-serving, narrow-sided, and short-sighted for us as commissioners to take that stand, especially considering we're entity greatly from the Board of Works Council. The only reason why we got PPP funding in the first place is because the Board of Works Council lobbied for us to get those payments and to get that as $80,000, which is now gone. Okay, and the reason we're in this situation is because our budget expenses swell, just like every other public board in the state of Florida. Our overhead swell during the pandemic. We got a lot of help from the federal and the state government to survive. Now that help is gone. Right? So our administrative costs have to go up. But the Board of Works Council hasn't always been there. I don't know that.
Either comments?
I think we're at an election change. I mean, we have to get back to balance about. We've lived off of, COVID money for the last, several years. Which allowed us to be a member, of this little bit century. Now we're at a point where COVID money is gone. So now we have to make our decision. And when we look at it, that is, I would certainly be interested in hearing the other cuts, not all commissioners, would recommend to offset them, the bottom line, we need to balance all that. We have to do the right things. So, action cutting the $15,500 can increase the course pension. What other things are I told commissioners doing, to help get at the $15,500, but we got to bump. That just gives us a long way to work. But that doesn't matter.
Chair, just, with that being said, with the 15,500, eliminated, we're still going to have to as a board take a salary cut in this to even get us to where we need to be regardless. There's other things that I see that we can probably do away with, but those are things that if I look at them, honestly, I have to say, yeah, they help us out. But, you know, as far as the state and federal government, if they can't step up, then you really got a problem. But it is our responsibility as a board to make those moves. You shouldn't wait on other people to do it. You know what we got to look at the hardcore numbers here. I am not in any way in opposition of a salary cut. If that's what we have to do to make it right, then we do it. But we have $15,500 in front of us that if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Now, the other option that we have there is I'm gonna look at Mr. McNair and say, with relay terminals, pay that dues for the 25-26 fiscal year.
Well,
County.
you know, I mean, if I just give my opinion, my short time, you know, I understand that the sport needs FDOT funding. But you know, when I look at the proposed budget that's put out by the staff, you know, I understand they're a small port, but if you look at their recommendations, we get crumbed. Compared to, you know, out of it, it's $25 million pot, right? And it just doesn't seem like, I mean, it's no secret here. We have a lot of money for them to be paid to try to push that through. And with their help, we're still getting small amounts. Like, I mean, I can't answer that question today. I can think about the showers, but you know, I mean, it's a fair question to ask. But you know, I see Commissioner Hill's opinion, I see your opinion, it's less you state your opinion on. I kind of see both. But I do find it disappointing that, you know, it shouldn't, it seems to me the money's going out based on the size of port, not of critical need. You know, I mean, if everybody in the state of Florida should know what dire circumstances this port's in certain facets, the flooding, the cranes, the infrastructure. And I don't know how else to get their attention. I mean, Davis works really hard to do it, you know, and he'll tell you I put a lot of pressure on him to try to break through those walls. And it's not like they ignore us, but I just thought we would have, you know, and it's not a done deal yet, but I thought the recommendations from the staff would be a bit more. So, but admittedly, I don't fully understand the sports council versus the actual governing body as well. But it's something I would consider. Um, and I, since 15.5, is that an ongoing annual fee? Or it is?
And I haven't, I'm healthy along with after this year. Just to help with this year.
Well, I was just gonna say that, I appreciate you looking into that because at this point, we have to look at all options. We have to look at everything. It is, a definitive task that we have to get this balanced. So, if you can, that would be great. But I also know that, the times are tough for everybody.
And you're gonna see that
They
report.
really are. I mean, I've been to Jacksonville, I've been to the Valley Range, I know that things are tight, and things are good. I would also say that we have to do what we have to do here and now. We're looking at what we can do. If we can get assistance from the operator, fine. But we can't bank on it. We have to deal in reality. So, with that being said,
Questions, comments? All right, so we have a motion to eliminate the line item for the Sports Council $2,500 more. We have a second for Commissioner Cole. All those in favor? Opposed? No. Motion passes 3-2.
Chair, who is opposed?
I'm sorry.
Cause the vote.
I was myself and Commissioner Hill.
Thank you.
3-2.
There were to be clear, we're not considered budgets here.
We're going to pass this at a lot meeting.
That's the, vote is that it is without them. When we pass her.
So at this point, Pierre would go and present a new budget, or another version, sorry, with that line item removed, showing that new, a new balance. And and Tammy, help me if I'm wrong, so if somebody makes a vote, if there's a vote, you need somebody to, how would that work for you?
This is unique because it's budget.
Okay.
Okay, so state law says you can amend your budget all the way up until the very final budget hearing. So this is still in play. This amendment is really just telling, okay, as of today, this is now our tentative budget. And then we'll have a tentative budget, proposed final budget on the 24th. It can be changed then too. And ultimately you vote on the final budget, but you can make changes on as well. And it's not but reconsideration, to answer your question about other matters, right? Not being predicted by state law, is in those, we do not have rules, but we follow Robert's rules of order. And in Robert's rules of order, the reconsideration, I believe, happens. It depends. I can bring back but I've always understood it had to happen at the very next meeting of the OPA board. Yes.
Are you there some questions for the budget? Wonderful.
One in the website, IT support, we talked about that briefly last month. This the $9,000 will bring us into compliance, or are we already compliant? ADA.
We are not
No.
ADA
We are
compliant.
not. So that is needed to bring it to. Okay.
If you're going to have a website that has, and I'm going to do a little bit of research about this before our next meeting. If you have a website that is going to have links or documents attached, and I have to do a little research on the link part, but definitely documents attached. Those documents have to be ADA accessible. And so because we have a lot of archived documents, those are not accessible right now.
So question, so website, I'm sorry. So right now, publish our notices on our website,
Pardon?
meeting notices.
They are on our website, yes.
That's our means of publishing notice meetings in order to comply with sunshine law. Is to publish notices. Can you expand your inquiry for this? Figure out what we have to have on the website and to meet those requirements.
Yes.
So it's publishing notices.
Mhm.
It's.
And I think I said, and I have not done, I have not done the research on this issue, is our last meeting or the one before, we talked a little bit about this, and the publication on the website of the agenda it's not ideal because most of us are accessing information on websites, but you can remove the agenda set out in full anyway, and it shouldn't, if it doesn't have links to the packet, then you're fine. Just setting it out like that is, but yes, I will expand to include that as well.
Before we move on in the spirit of telling, I would like to make a motion that gives um, and the commission direct salaries commission. Reduce the salaries for commissioner from 120 to 100.
Okay, so your motion is to use, Clifford salary, 140,000 to 100.
which would effectively be a $4,000 grant for each year. So again, which would effectively be about $4,000 in salary for each year. And what not, that thing. Doing the numbers that we got. Yeah. That's why I asked.
I'll second for discussion.
What's the point? Which one?
The amount for, if we reduce it to 100,000, and that drops us $4,000 per month by way, if not $200 a month, or it'd be so like 237, $307. Right. That's, I like that.
So we have a motion, Commissioner Moore, we have a second, from Commissioner Hill. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Approved, but it's seven working for. Here, you've got a little bit of updates to make. We'll see the budgets, in the weeks. So thank you for your bonus and your. For operator reports, Ted. Anything?
Good evening. All right, so I'll cut to the chase. It's Commissioner Nelson's leading tough sledding out there. Again, the tariffs really kind of killing us. I guess the bright news is summer dial is still pretty steady. And I would say, the August we had kind of a hang. We had a vessel still into September, so September should be a good bit better than August, but yeah, and then we think it's not a new business, but we think we've made some headway on the KLB trade that will come back end of August. And then September, our vessel from Sweden with pulp, lumber, and some KLB should be import KLB rather. Is going to be much larger than our normal, I think 16,000 tons. So it's going to be a really good shot for us. But July and August is unprecedented. You talk to the guys at the port, they've never seen this. They haven't seen this slow in a while. But we are being pushed. I will say that we're investing. We're going to have a booth at Bring Bulk Americas, which is the annual trade show at the end of this month in Houston. It's the biggest in our industry. I've been every year since I started this industry. I think 8,000 people attend. We always attend, but you can get a show pass for $250. The exhibit's about, all in it's about $8,000. So it's a substantial, investment. And the guys I've taken, I've already had a kind of a very serious talk with them that this is not a fun trip. This is a trip to, we're dialing for dollars here. We're going to turn this thing around. And actually, some of my commercial team presented a plan to me today to go through specifically for spot revenue for the rest of this year. Because, again, the bright side of this is we have had some warehouse space loosen up that we can, kind of market out there. We are doing some container transloading for some of our great bulk customers as well right now. So, again, it's not great. But we're working really hard to turn around. And September should be a lot.
Any questions for Ted?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to point out that normally in the maritime industry, your last quarter is usually a slide. And it's down because your shippers are wanting to cut their inventory. They want to stay low under the tax rate. And normally September, October, you holiday months for summer's out, they're moving their stuff now. We can't wait till, month before. So you should see that upswing from them now. I mean, I would call them and say, what's your projection? I'm sure they got some idea of what they're looking at for the holidays, because they would be moving that stuff now. So it's just an idea that you could probably talk to Robin Bishop and find out what their projections.
All right, Commissioner Evans.
Yeah, so with the loss of your service department, and then mill closures in the region, um, it's a significant shift in volumes and in our story from last year. Our story was kind of a positive story this time last year, and now I see it being the opposite. Like we've lost, we've got some significant shifts. Business is basically government. So I mean, that's kind of, in my view, that's an emergency situation to figure out what is the business development plan long term.
Yeah, I mean, so I can rehash what I just said earlier. I mean, we're in a turnaround mode right now. We're having to find new avenues of business. I would say the mill closures and yeah, losing the bar service hurts. I would say that's really the only piece of business we actually lost. Like we lost that teaching app. I would say everything else was extenuating circumstances and or tariffs. Um, but again, like all I can do is try to turn it around. I mean, my livelihood depends on it as well. All those people that work for me, I haven't cut one job yet, even though we're running in the negative as well. Because I believe we've got the right people and the right attitude and the right plan to turn it around. You know, we're up against it right now.
Yeah. So are there any, do you have any preliminary thoughts on what industries would you would target? So it'd be like aggregate, construction, bulk.
Yeah, so we have that's a good point. So I have applied for a grant, specifically an aggregates grant. It's through FDOT, I believe, but private companies can apply for it to help us purchase equipment. Because we are in the ag business in North Carolina, and I've done a lot of research, and really all the aggregates really pull out of Jacksonville, and is y'all know better than me. You can pull aggregate that transit from Jacksonville up here can be kind of a fair. Um, so that's one plan of action we're looking at. I'm just waiting to hear back if we can get some help from the state on that matter. So what we would do then, hypothetically, would discharge aggregates here, transport them to our friendly road property for stockpiling. We could stockpile at the port, especially since we do import what we call washed material. So that's material that after it's crushed and screened, it's been washed at the quarry to eliminate some of the fines and dust. And the reason they do that is to make it FDOT or DOT compliant, whichever state you're in. So, I mean, that's in the hopper as well, no pun intended. But yeah, I mean, forest products is what the sport's set up for. Like I think I said in the last meeting, I think we're closing in on the second container line. It's a niche container line. It would start kind of slow, a couple hundred boxes a month. But they are up and running now. So they're running from Central America up to the Northeast. And the word is, you know, we have a meeting with them in 2 or 3 weeks and to talk about our first call. So, you know, again, it's not a done deal. I don't want to say it's a done deal. But that's kind of what we're going after. And again, we're hearing really positive things that the KLV trade is going to start back up. It just took a while for the players to try to find those supply lines. We had some competition trying to steal that trade from us from the Gulf, but I will say, you know, speaking directly to the customers in Central and South America, they like the service that they get from Fernandina. And Commissioner Nelson knows this. We're one of the last ports in the United States to still load a reefer vessel with KLB rolls on the rack. And so they love that backhaul freight with a reefer vessel to load KLB roll actually on their side and roll it into place. And so I think that's going to come back. I'm really hopeful. But I mean, I can assure you, no one feels the pressure because it's my job to get it fixed, and you know, it's my job to maintain the jobs. And that's the last thing I want.
So what is the, like, I appreciate that initial color, that's kind of what I was looking for, I was saying, what you said previously, it's deficient, it's just, I feel like we need to talk about it, and
Yeah.
it's, you know, the future report, you have to identify, we have jobs for these folks out there, we make investments, we can see for grow. You know, we need a business plan for how to do that. I know, Virginie works really hard too, on business development. What are the, like, what are the means for lead generation? Is it really just like word of mouth or?
Of lead generation? Yes, we have peers data, we have Java data as well. So we comb that pretty well. But again, I mean, in 3 weeks, we're going to the conference of the year. For that next fall, I think it's PPI, Pulp and Paper International will be there as well. And I can tell you, we're in talks right now with all three major Brazilian pulp exporters. When I first started the job, we were so full, it really wasn't space for anything else. But Brazilian pulp is on the rise. You have two different kind of pulps that go into tissue and paper. The eucalyptus from Brazil is on the rise. So you've got companies like Eldorado, Suzano, CNPC. They move huge volumes through places like Baltimore and Jacksonville. But you know, traditional break bulk terminals are starting to go the way of the dinosaur in some ways because most ports are hyper focused on containers. I'll also say that while I've worked with the ILA and they're great in certain facets, the ILA is set to get a 6% raise over a 5 year period. It's no secret that we are a non-union terminal and we don't even have an ILA local here. And so I think that's, something that some of these big companies just look at and talk to them as well. But, the lowest hanging fruit for us as far as volume, when we do have this open space, is going to be that Brazilian pulp. Matter of fact, I talked to the VP of Supply Chain Management for CPC today, and we're talking about a trial vessel, perhaps. But again, I don't want to say things and then be construed as done deal. They're just all in the hopper. They're going a million miles an hour.
I just asked a question, it's back 2 decades. Once I came to Fernandina, there was something that I noticed right away, and it was they don't advertise. You can pick up American Sugar, and you'd never see anything mentioned about Fort Fernandina. And I asked that question to management attendant, and I said, "We don't need that. Large, you don't want pipelines." But they would not. They refused to advertise what Fernandina could provide. Chris wasn't a big advertiser for the Port Fernandina. I mean, let's try the basics. Are y'all advertising in any publication for the Port of Fernandina and what they can offer? Just your flexibility here. I had a guy from the largest company that made the pros for KOB say that the Port of Fernandina was the best kept secret on the East Coast. He didn't know about it until I brought him here to design some pros for the KOB. He's like, "How come y'all don't advertise?" Maybe just maybe. Advertising, if you want to sell something, you put it on Facebook, sell it. But I'm saying we probably need to look at some advertising. Can you answer that question? Is Relay Terminal advertising for Bungie?
We're going to be in 3 weeks at this conference, and by being an exhibitor, we do get in the, the a Journal Constitution. We'll be in there, half-page ad, I believe.
Go into a Dean's office and they would have American Shipper and open it up. They're not, that ceiling, immersed. They're all there. I mean, it's just it's like a chain. It takes a link to link you to that supply where you can actually bring that business in. So I mean, it's just a question that I would look at advertise this place.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Well, we can put a sign on our empty lots. These for.
I mean,
I agree with you, I agree with you.
It may work one. I mean, it's the simple things that change the course of a country, of a world, just the simple things.
So we have the agenda of facility reports, port repairs, Ted, you have any updates or anything? I know,
Yeah, I asked Travis, he's still recovering. Try to make a next meeting. He can only, he was in the office today, but he can only go so long without his leg hooked up to the machine. But he said the siding I believe he said he's gonna award it to the same company that's finishing up the dock repairs. That's the delivery. So they're gonna just roll right into this. I think that's the only outstanding. Yeah.
I know we recently had some flooding, out there, there, damages from that, or the.
No, they were able to do everything.
Chairman, we need to talk about flooding now. Is that okay? So I was at report, on Tuesday, for leadership Nassau here, and it coincided with high tide, and there were 3 roads that had barriers. So Dave had a barrier in the city, even directed, you could still drive around it, the trucks were driving, but there was water. over the roads. So the trucks were going around the barrier through the water, the local traffic wasn't, was blocked out. When we entered into the port, 30% of the port was covered in water. And we still proceeded with the tour, but there was equipment that was ending salt water. There were that I saw, river in the water. I saw those pictures as well, but while we were there, it was still, the water was still that high. So we had to drive around the container you saw in my picture. In order to see, any terminal, we drive around the backside of those containers, the west and the east side. You can see that, right? There was debris everywhere that had washed in. I mean, it was a mess rock. I mean, and I just got the sense that we didn't really anticipate that the water was gonna be that high, even though we see tide charts, we know what's coming. We shouldn't see, Portland floating away, and we shouldn't see workers driving floodwaters and forklifts. It just didn't seem like there was a plan for the rise of water. And I know that we're looking at funding to shore up the dock, but that's not gonna prevent flooding. I mean, that won't really do anything, I mean, it'll still, water will continue to come in, and it'll continue to go up. And unless you build the donut, from the wall, which you can't do. So, I think we need a plan, and I'm sure at this point now, the folks that are boots on the ground, like Travis, and those that report plan are now familiar with that plan. But it was clear that that wasn't anticipated, that there's a 9-foot. So it was, and I think next month's the super room.
Yeah.
So Travis did a great job with that tour. He was clearly, still recovering from surgery. I want to say it's been positive up here. He's technically really articulate about how the goods are moving through that port. He did a wonderful job, but he's one person. He's one person there at the port managing the operations, and he's recovering from, his medical event. But it did feel like they needed perhaps, more hands, more preparation to prepare for that, to get the containers out of the water, to get them out of the water. And I really just can't say enough about the concern you're seeing the situation there.
So is your concern about like us not being prepared for this event or like long term, what are we gonna do about it?
Next time.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have a talk with everybody and let them know.
Well, and I think, it takes more resources than one individual, right? So I think Travis was doing everything he could. Like, it was clear to me that everybody was there to do everything they could, but there wasn't a plan. Like, it came late. Like, once the water's already rising, you can't move, 30 containers out of the way once you realize you've got a problem.
Okay.
And just keep in mind that those empty containers that are down on the north, end of the terminal, sitting near the railroad tracks. Even if there's one on top and that water gets high enough, they will fall over and floating. But if you would just have the guys keep an eye out. We're gonna just back up, I got some cities that I haven't checked right there where the flathead and back in, right there about where that. If you blink the side, when the waves come in and they make it under the dock, they hit that rock bed there. Apparently, there's a wash drop under that asphalt because now when the wave hits the rocks, it shoots up through the asphalt. It's telling me that it's probably eroding that limestone out. And probably need to keep those trucks back. You won't have any problem seeing it, Ted, because it's big cracks. And that water will shoot up.
Okay.
So it might be just keep them out of there if you don't want to move.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add that, the big picture we talked about, so I can rehash it. I mean, a couple things about flooding. Number one, we had to talk with the railroad. They're, in my opinion, they're just oblivious to it. And at least my conversation with them, they don't have a plan. They don't want to raise the tracks. They don't want to pay the money. And then, remind everybody that, we just made a significant investment with Apton. And thank y'all for passing the grant, the application, by the way. And we all know that's not the silver bullet, but it will help. It will give some relief, especially during a rain event, combined with, it won't help a 10-foot top, nothing. I don't know what, you gotta raise the whole court, but, we can limit these events. You have a 6-foot tide in a rain event. What happens design will help. And I will say that I believe, if I remember correctly, shoring up some of this problem area talk, I believe that's in the scope of this grant as well. But, and everybody's kind of cross your fingers that the federal government helps us out here.
I would say just this, when I was there, we had some people come in from the Navy security people. And they were concerned about access to the river. If there was an event, they were going to be moving equipment in and out. They didn't even know that place was there. They found it on the map. That's how they found Fort Bundy. They didn't even know it. They've got a major subbase 5 miles to the northwest. So yeah, we need some help. We do definitely need some help.
So moving on, Ted, do you have anything else for your report?
Let's go on new business before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had something, and I apologize. I emailed it over. Too late for the packet. Got to get better about that. So just for the board's consideration, so I was approached by a private company. It's not a government company. I'm under strict NDA with them, but they're looking for a multi-year priority document arrangement in Fernandina for, I would call it for just maintenance, on their vessel, right? So what they want is they want a priority document, meaning they say, okay, we see your tariff, but we want to pay a fee to compensate you for us staying there when you could, per the tariff, kick us out, right? So, I've negotiated something with them. It's just a negotiation right now. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but, in the spirit of fairness, I had emailed over what I thought could work. I will say, once we get this thing in, I want to bring it in, introduce some of y'all. This would drive new jobs in Nassau County as well. This company is looking at several different ports to kind of put a home base down. So what I proposed is, and again, I can't really reveal anything else about it, but I can just say there's no hazardous material, there's no threat to the public, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's nothing hazardous, nothing dangerous there. It's just a tie up. And so what I proposed is, as a sharing exercise would be, we would remit to OPA outside of what we're obligated to in the operating agreement and the other agreements that have happened since. 5,000 a month for OPA operations, and then 5,000 a month to go to the maintenance reserve fund. So that's up for consideration. I believe it's fair. I believe it helps you, it helps me, it kind of helps everybody. So open for questions. I'll answer what I can.
What's their time frame of being there? Now, you're talking about just laborers, right?
Yes. So this would begin in, I believe, it would be October of 26, October, November of 26. There's a lot of pre-planning in their mind.
I mean, I need to begin with the labor from everybody, but once you do it one time, the word spreads pretty fast, the agents. And what would be the headache was you get a cargo vessel that's diverted or is on schedule to be here, and they want labor at the same time. I mean, during the pandemic, y'all remember when oil Canadian came in that cruise ship and we had to sit there. There was time we had to tell them, you just got to leave. You got to go back out and anchor, and 5 days once we finish the ship, you come back in. But is that something that they're willing to consider? But normally, if they're doing maintenance and they pull those engines down or whatever, they can't leave.
They would not want to leave. And so to, you know, I would have to run with our one remaining berth during those times. It wouldn't be all the time. During those times, I'd have to run, because right now, I mean, in general terms, I'm geared up to run 3 days. I can run two on one vessel, one on the other, and get two vessels in. So I would sort of change operations, run two during the day and one at night with our one remaining berth to turn vessels faster. That would be the overall game plan there.
They give any indication on they expect to be the average duration of their stay.
I will say this would be a minimum 2-year deal. So
Is this a private company?
yes, sir, it is. Okay.
So you're proposing a revenue share because under already agreement, this would be additional revenues that you would have negotiated, like, revenue sharing for?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would just ask for enough information for us to understand what we're agreeing to. Because I see that we have, a proposed offer of flat fee payment, but we really don't understand, what the impact is to our business. What is gonna be the impact from this relationship on the other potential relationships? And then if we did know the revenue, then we would be able to say, well, you're bringing in, $10 million for this relationship.
I'm not doing it.
Right, hypothetically, it's $5 million, whatever, I mean, obviously it's more than that, but whatever the value of the relationship. We knew what the revenues were when we negotiated the operating agreement. We didn't get the opportunity to negotiate with your company because we didn't get the opportunity to consent to that assignment. So I think we need enough information about the deal to understand what we're agreeing to, what the trade-offs are.
Yeah.
And it's assumed that you are subject to an NDA, but need to know like the basics of, what is the ballpark of revenue? Just give us some sense of that
You mean the revenue, like,
coming into play for this relationship.
yeah, I'm under instruction not to reveal any negotiations right now. That's what their counsels told me and what my counsels told me. So,
So without individuals signing anything.
What's that?
What if a member of OHPA signed an NDA?
Yeah, we are a public board. So,
We've signed NDAs individually with, the Customs and Border Patrol. Because we receive confidential security information about the requirements.
I can ask.
May I, Mr. Chair? And so just to be clear, you wouldn't end up in this venue talking about, I think that what Commissioner Hill's referring to is if members or a member of this board signed an NDA, you could discuss it with them individually. It wouldn't be discussed here.
No,
Right.
I don't think so.
Given that we conditional.
And that may be what, if that's something that's agreeable, that may be what you need to do in order to get sign off from OPA.
I know this is preliminary, what's the preliminary October, people say, what's the time frame we would need to, you would need that sign off?
Yes, I can't, I mean, I don't feel comfortable going any further with negotiations until I have sign off from y'all. So, and I'm kind of on a time frame here. They're in the midst of their search. Here, we could do it. It's gonna be pressing. Yeah, I'll ask you.
Well, ask the question that, Commissioner Hill, posed, and then, you discuss at the next meeting.
Okay.
So you want this added to the next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
You heard that? Okay. Thanks, Ed, for your opportunity. We'll see you in a minute. Okay. Moving on to old business, revenue distribution and sharing arrangement with Nassau Terminals LLC. Tanya, you talked about it
Yes,
a little bit.
I have nothing further. No.
That brings us later to the, or any questions for? Maybe your name or that's it.
Are we gonna get a stick when the next meeting on them?
We're gonna get a letter. Yeah. Yeah. Amy Paulson called me today to just tell me verbally so I could give an update and that she was going to draft a letter. And yes, I expect to have that by the next meeting.
10B, Beverage Warehouse location, 10B. This is kind of where one of the items of my question for reconsideration,
Sure.
really
Yes.
started from
There you go.
was this was voted on in the last meeting.
Mhm.
But it's back on the agenda now. Is this, I don't,
And so for reconsideration, I think that you can do that under Robert's Rules of Order at the next meeting. It was a unanimous vote, I believe.
Well, you had two votes. One was unanimous and then one was a 3-2 vote.
So on any that wasn't unanimous, any motion, anybody that voted on the prevailing side, so those that voted yes to the motion since they passed, would have to make a motion tonight to reconsider. If that motion is seconded and passes after a vote by at least 3 of you, then the item is back on the table. Again, for discussion, just like it was when we saw votes. And then you debate it and you can decide what you wish to do.
I'm sorry. Your item.
This is an item that the board wants back on. This isn't something that's.
Just to keep it toward.
Right, right. But I consider all of these items my responsibility too, to make sure that I understand what's going on. And my understanding, what has happened since the last meeting is that we have Commissioner Moore prepared a sketch on top of an aerial that we pulled from the property appraiser website. I say we because I also pulled from the property appraiser website and was using the drawing tool to create a rectangle in the area of the port, northeast area. I know we have Commissioner Moore, you don't have mine. His is much more pleasing to the eye. Mine was just a sharp red line and his is at least shaded it, but One of the things that I want everybody to keep in mind is that, and this is just a guess from the area, I haven't checked. In building any of these, besides the historic district buffer, there's also wetlands buffers. So wetlands, so that looks pretty wet there. I think that's kind of marshy out there. I might be totally wrong and it's not, but I just want to make sure that those measurements are going to have to, so wherever the warehouse is put in, if it's this location, then the city is going to let you know based upon a real site plan if there's enough of the setback. So whoever does the design needs to make sure that they check with the city on there. Because of course, that's what happened where the warehouse is currently located. We weren't out of the setback.
Chairman,
Yes.
I have a question. Yeah, that stands to be true today. Why wasn't that addressed in the initial engineering and processing that we went through? Why wasn't that brought to the board? Why wasn't there say, oh, by the way, now you gotta have so much? It just don't make sense. What does make sense, if that warehouse goes where it was approved to go, there's gonna have to be some asphalt put down. The rock beds are gonna have to be done away with, because you will not be able to run forklifts in these rock beds. So, in my personal opinion, I think that's why there's a uh-oh on the operator side saying, wait a minute, if I go where it should have went, we'll have to put asphalt in there. Asphalt was in the project initially.
But if you remember, like I presented two options where to put it, one of my options that I presented would be that exact asphalt base. I just wanted to orient it differently so I could run trucks through and have proper clearance for emergency vehicles to get through the warehouse.
I work the back warehouse, it's out on the interchange. And if you run trucks through there, you have to run from the front to the back. You're gonna lose 30% plus of your storing capability. Because you have to have room for the flatbed to go through there, plus you have to have at least a 8, 9 feet side. So you pretty much just gutted your capacity in that back warehouse.
This warehouse is a good bit wider.
Still gonna lose that, still gonna lose that.
I'm gonna tell you how these guys like to run the operation.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
trucks
that's
through.
fine if you run a truck through there. If you don't have a lot of parking, but you're telling us you need storage space. So that's why the warehouse that you see sitting on that point has 3 doors of entry. You got one in the center on the west side, and you got one on the north and south side. That was the reason it was engineered that way. Instead of having 2 entries, you got 3. So your accessibility is greater and you can move more machines in and out of it rather than just going in one and the other. I think what I see, and this is my personal professional opinion, is if it goes there and it's forced to be put there, there's gonna have to be probably $85,000 to $100,000 worth of that.
But again, one of the, like I presented an option to you that would require that exact amount of base to be put down as well. So like, I'm not trying to skirt.
You're saying if it goes around between the railroad tracks and the warehouse sitting down there, that's where you want to put it.
That is where I want to put it, but remember, then my construction costs, so I'm paying.
That whole area back in 2012 had tarmac from airport grade asphalt put in there up to 12 inches thick. So why would you have to go back in and put more down? You got stackers running out there that have.
I think we're talking about I just don't want to make it contentious. So if I put the warehouse up by the other one where I said was my preferred.
On the website.
What I'm saying is my construction costs, I'm paying a lot more no matter what. Because now I have to move both the buildings to accommodate, putting them side by side. What I'm saying is the other option, you put it out the northeast area, right, where you'd like to put it, but oriented the other way, like I would want, requires the same amount of this. Like that still requires the same amount of base or asphalt or whatever modification as if no matter what, it turned the other way. All I'm saying is I don't want it turned the other way because I don't like the access. I don't, it's a collision hazard and I don't think I have the space and clearance for the emergency vehicles through it. That's what I'm telling you. That's my professional opinion. I think it works better this way. It is, I understand y'all have a plan of action. I understand it's oriented the other way, but the only evidence I've seen is like when it's oriented the other way, it's a much smaller representation of what the warehouse is, and it changed. And so I get it, you want me to move the warehouse, I want to move the warehouse, but I'm just trying to come up with a solution that works for everyone.
Do you wanna just change the orientation?
Yes, I mean, remember last meeting, there was two options presented.
Yeah, that was option one, and then, it's option two. But with the motion, and what passed was going exactly where it was going on originally. I would return it.
But if you remember last time that we brought up the original image, which I think, and I'm just guessing here, the original plan was for two small warehouses that look more like greenhouses. Like, but then what was perfect with the grant was, kind of mash them together and make one big warehouse. And so, in my opinion, it doesn't work oriented the way y'all first planned. That's just my opinion. What I was wrong. I don't think you said.
We are getting here, we came up with a plan for how we're not, or going to move in different directions with the second, rectangle for the second. Round. Then we ended up getting that big warehouse in the wrong location. Was it the condition that told you to not you directly, but strategy to go out and purchase a warehouse larger than
No, but I'm sure it was voted on and approved.
Well, it was, I mean, location was
location.
But I'm sure there's a construction project contract that was put up for approval. I'm just guessing. In the short time,
I said before I was on board, sitting more at that time, but that's the plus of the problem. Having a big warehouse. And the original drawings that had the two smaller rectangles for the location.
well, yeah, you're right. There was I mean, going back and, we had, Greg and Kyle. Now we have a new, port guy, we have Ted, and we have Travis. They're gonna see things different. They're gonna see a different flow, a different way that they envision the operations. And so, and that's where I said in the last meeting, I understand if you have somebody new, I'm saying that, their way wouldn't work. So while we're in the middle of looking at this, to review one of these options. So that was a mess up, just for previous folks who were here. And we're gonna make it right. And if this is making it right, what was voted on, we move forward with it. But yeah, that's where that was the big issue with us.
and if it'll make y'all feel better, I think he'll be good enough for next meeting. I can have Travis and Phil, or they can come in here and talk. Why the guys actually are out there every single day. I'm here 1 week in Wilmington next week, so you know.
Couple of points on the couple of points in option one, you committed to moving one warehouse, the larger warehouse and then so the smaller.
Mhm.
Since you are committed to moving both, why not move the smaller one into the corner? And then move the big one where the smaller one now, still moving two warehouses.
Yeah, but so it's still, would, will you allow me to orient it the way I want to orient it, or still north-south?
Well, that's gonna be my next point.
So then you have the same problem is like there's, that space, sorry, it's about 250 feet and the warehouse is 220. That's what I'm saying. There's not enough clearance to run operations and to get emergency. vehicles in. You have, when you're working just for the sidewalk, my opinion is have a major collision happen. You have people that's coming in and out of one access point. Now, does that hurt you when you're loading trucks out day to day and you're slow? No. But what hurts you is when you're trying to make production on vessels. You have to make production on vessels because that's the only way headed places like in structure down in Jacksonville, which get, which are well funded and big, nice terminals.
I've I've worked with big top before. We have several there are warehouses in some places in down for Rica. One of the advantages that they advertise for a lot of these structures is the non-American. So I don't know if this is one of them, but most of them you take out. You can size the place. So you could take out a bow on the end and reduce the overall length of it to slightly smaller.
So you are reducing the size of the warehouse to make it fit in orientation.
I'm just throwing it out that they can be. Sure, I would like to reiterate that. Talk about that one, and I can tell you, I don't know about it. I'm not in the order to do that. But I want you to be comfortable with whatever you come up and whatever the court agrees. And I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire and make you do the warehouse exactly where was said it had to be moved. I don't want that to be considered. That's how I feel about it. Whatever we do about, make us happy, that's what we want.
I mean, to me, this is, it's in the spirit of what we discussed at the last meeting, but it's not that we're like flip flopping, it's like, oh, well, it's just we're making orientation. And so what I would like to see is an actual to scale like this is building and the other one next to it before we have your beach. But and what you're saying makes sense to me. I'm not gonna try to tell you, logistics wise, but I always thought where the smaller warehouse is located did seem to be in the middle of traffic. And I know it has been struck with equipment, so that indicates it might be in not the best location. Um,
Actually, this one was struck, unfortunately.
mm. So are the vinyl tops going to be replaced?
They'll have to.
Is there any color choices?
So again, I looked into that. The problem is if you go with a different color, you lose your ambient light, which is, in my mind, like pretty critical for safety.
Especially at night.
So are there any alternatives to white that would still achieve that goal?
I don't believe so.
Could you check?
Yeah.
Because I think like the biggest complaint from folks, it's like the big white vinyl fences. That's the it's even like that. But it is very, very bright.
Right, which is one of the reasons I presented the other option, is those to be, beside each other, which would limit the sight line, in my opinion. Understanding, be able to put it over here.
Okay, so in order for us to amend or rescind or reconsider this with the drawing is to scale. Tammy, please give me some direction. It's a motion to amend the prior action to.
Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to put it back on the agenda by making a motion to reconsider.
I'll make a motion to reconsider, our vote on these matters.
Sorry. A motion from Mr. Hill, a second from Mr. Cole. Any further discussion?
So before you vote, you want to take public comments if there is any.
Point that you made, it needed to be the ones that voted no. So yes.
Yes.
So I can't say that. Is that correct?
Did you vote no?
I voted no.
Yeah, so it should be somebody else ideally to second. So go ahead. You need another second to the motion.
Commissioner Hill,
All right.
a second from Commissioner Moore, and if you review a public comment. So if we have any members of the public who wish to comment. Mr. Richard.
Operation, we're running for more purchasing. We've been talking about this since July of 23. And the original proposal, which was the one that you in yellow, was a Savage proposal, not an OPA proposal. So somewhere along the line, Savage figured out that that type of warehouse should fit. It was located in the right place. And now 2 years later, we're reconsidering it. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Well, a lot of thought went into the Savage proposal in 2023. There's not much difference, 2 years ago. It has elapsed, but that's it. If it would fit 2 years ago, it fit now. And if the fiber barrels would fit, maybe it wasn't built to the specifications in the what OPA approved in July of 23, which was the width, the length, the height. That was all approved. So is that one of the concerns, Ted, that it will not fit?
Can you restate your question?
Well, and I'm just, so Ted thing is it's should be too tight, and so they're not gonna be able to access to each side. That was the concern being oriented.
Either end.
Correct.
But no truck, right? A forklift? My question would be a forklift, not a truck. The trucks don't go in and out of the warehouses. The forklifts do. So how much room does a forklift need?
Trucks do go through this warehouse.
One of my neighbors has been looking at the warehouses, and he can't remember how he saw a truck in one of those fabric warehouses.
I mean, well, we can, Jeremy, Blind, we can move this to the next meeting and you can hear from the guys who've run the board. Let's do that. We'll pull that.
You've got to prepare pretty important to think they're going to set something up that is not, this is gonna, harm the operations and the logistics of what we're doing. And so that's why I agree with what they're going to do, spend more money to go across too. But again, it's say they have trucks, they don't have trucks. It's still the access and logistics of the warehouse center that's a concern. Yes, I think so we have right now the motion in a second take. So there's a chance if that passes that it will come up at the next meeting. I think that next meeting, we should have Travis and Junos.
But it's a point of information. It's quicker to point out if you have a truck and you have a forklift putting beside your truck unloading it inside of the fabric warehouse. And your storage capacity is way diminished. So almost nothing, right? Commissioner Nelson.
You're exactly right. And I challenge the commissioners to go out and take a look at it. It's not a normal operating process. When I was there, it was very seldom that we ran trucks through the warehouse. We would come to each end and have gangs on each end that would take them off and then bring them into the warehouse because it does eliminate storage capacity. And you gotta understand, you can't go to the top of it. You can only go up so high in there, and then you have to stop. Because it's rounded, and you got big, tall rolls of paper, and you got bundles of wood pulp. You've only got a limited amount of space that you can stack that stuff. You have to leave 8 feet or better, plus another 8, 9 feet width to be able, because you understand there's a load in front of it. He has to have room to maneuver. You lose that space. You're exactly right.
That's 24 feet. I don't know, like,
So
8, 8, 8, 3, 9, 9, 25, 26.
I'm a little bit more concerned about what I'm hearing now about buffers. Never heard that with the city. I mean, maybe that's the reason nobody decided to go front. But we need to look into this. Because we'll be falling right off the cliff into another pit. So before we get into John, and I agree with what you say, Virtue, we have talked about it, talked about it, talked about it. We need to stop talking. Okay. They engineered it. We had the paperwork in front of us. We knew what was going on. We knew it was, and it was voted on. Now, because Savage had somebody that in the country made a decision to move it to where it currently is, which is bad idea. Bad idea.
Which I agree with.
Now, like, was on, hey, there's a better place to put it. Not really something we need to be entertaining. Now, come on, we went through the process to put it, it's proof to be put, and it's my contention that where it needs to be. Now, I would like to have some more information about buffers that has to be around that, because correct me if I'm wrong, that's the first time I heard.
So the historic district, this is just off the top of my head from my work with the city, historic district buffer and wetlands buffer that could apply, in the area that has to be checked. But that is exactly why you pull a permit from the city. When a building permit is requested, it automatically goes through the planning department for zoning, buffers, all of that, and the building department for the Florida building code stuff. So it's handled just when, but if you wanted to see what the effect would be of that, then I mean, that's easy enough for us to do. We don't have to hire additional professionals to say, okay, this proposed location, what would be the buffer? And the way buffers are, it's not from the edge of the property line, right? So it's all filled right there in concrete and stuff like that. So I'm talking about, so you've got a lot of area from the property line to the warehouse too. And the applicable buffer might not mean you're moving it any further back, but it's good to know when it's being designed. And when the engineer is doing the site plan, or whoever does the site plan, that's what they take into consideration. It doesn't make a massive difference, Commissioner Nelson, that when you apply the buffers, it's a calculation that's done for wetlands based on where the edge of the wetlands is, where the edge of the building is, and any development has to be edge of the building to edge of wetlands. So that's for the wetlands. And then historic district, we know that that's the property to the building.
Good thing for the city, we have the $4 of the city's comprehensive plan. I was at all of the direct meetings when that was being considered with our commissioner, Chase Minshew. She was the chair of that committee. And so she's very familiar with it, and it was city commissioner. But who, in terms of staff, would be able to perhaps take a phone call or a meeting just so they understand exactly what they're doing. Because I know there is a 10-foot wetlands, air wetlands buffer that's indicated, but it doesn't deter buffer. It says a sensitive 10-foot.
And I think that's additional to wetlands. So that's why it can be very complicated. So to answer your question, Commissioner Hill, the city's planning department, they provide the planning services for the department. and you just contact them directly. You don't go through the building department, just contact the planning department. And you can call, you can send an email or find out what a good email address, and one of the planners will answer the question.
My concern is citizen, we've been talking about this since June, in terms of moving the Harvard courthouse. And it's September, and at one point, Commissioner Chairman Joe, you set an October date. It's almost October. And we still haven't decided what we're doing with it. I mean, it's on and on and on and on. I get the feeling I'll be here 2 years from now, talking to you about what are we gonna do with this traffic courthouse?
Let's look at your notes now, bring you one version. This, Ms. Aaron.
This is a rat hole. There's nobody in this room who can make a decision on wetlands buffer. Pull a permit, then you'll find out the answer. The people who pay to do it, competent to do it. And we don't need to go there. It is a waste of our time and energy. Don't chase this in this bottom. Pull a permit.
So we have, yes.
Moving to North Third Street in front of the base. And I had a chance to reach out to some of Bechtel engineers on fire protection, and we've been talking on the phone. He's gonna send me back a report. And one of the things he looked up for me in Florida, he said, one thing, 180 days after structure is there, is firm. It's no longer, well, it's a permanent structure. And it is going to require some type of fire protection. And it's important to me because our houses over there are made out of part of pine. You ever seen it moves and out south? Mine caught on fire. The top floor got burned out in a matter of seconds in one little spot. They don't even allow fireworks in there. So I'm concerned about how they're going to do that fire protection. Thank you.
Do you have our protection in your house?
What would you think? What would you think I would have fire protection in my house?
Okay.
Yeah, why would you think that?
Well,
You know, I think. All right, so we have a motion, a acceptance. Any further reports?
Just to remember, we're reconsidering.
This is reconsidering, so it's coming back again. It's back on the table if this passes. That's fine, but then we're gonna need to make a motion to postpone that. That's what I would do. Reconsider, bring it back and say we're gonna postpone our decision. That's what I would.
I heard you say that if you voted, no last time, those were the only ones that voted this time,
No, you all vote on this motion now.
and this is to bring it back.
Yes, this is to reconsider.
Reconsider it.
So let's reconsider it.
Well, once you reconsider, if you approve this motion to reconsider, then I think you can just you don't need a motion to postpone, but
We'll
I was being
reconsider
too
it,
tense.
we'll just add it to the.
yeah, add it to the next agenda. That's fine.
We have we have the original set of plans approved as the two recommended.
Yeah, I'd have to look for it, but I can have it ready for next agenda. Okay.
All's in favor? Opposed?
No,
So 4-1.
All right, tab 10C, website design. So at the last meeting, we had voted with an effort to save money to forego the web design, but focus more on the audio line, for the
Mm-hmm.
audio device of the ADA client. This bolster came back and they're not prepared to do just that full report. I think it was $100,000.
940.
Was that?
940.
So we're back to square one with the website. We do have two proposals that Rosanna has sent to us. one from Lori Bisbolster in her full proposal. And then we have Civic Plus. So this will be up for discussion and we need to.
If I might, Mr. Chair, just my input, and Rosanna and I spoke about this. It's turned into a bit of a bidding war back and forth. I mean, and war is too strong of a word, but both of these companies are now responding to the board, this board saying, no, we don't quite want this, we want that, we only have this much money. And so then the other proposer, in fairness, Rosanna has, asked them if they have any updates, and they're then amending their proposal. I think that that is, even though this is not a very big number, is that now we're in this bidding war, we probably need to do an RFP. And I don't mind putting that together. It's not, I can, Rosanna and I work well together. We can find an RFP and put it out there. I think what we need to know for sure, and of course, we talked about it tonight, and I'm moving along another tentative budget, is what is the top amount? What is the budget? And when an RFP is published, we publish what our budget is. And we ask them to come in within that budget and provide us with what we can get within that budget. And that's the fair way, I think, fair way to do it.
Comments?
And to be clear, Rosanna has not been providing, for example, if Liz Bolster had an update or a discount, she wasn't then sending it to Civic Plus to counter it. It was just kind of happening simultaneously, knowing that, and so I was getting uncomfortable with that being. And for a low amount, you can do that, but it's not transparent, and really, it's not in the spirit of our public purchasing.
There we go. I think that's the board agrees to the board are. So as long as there's few figures. So I've got his Walter, I believe was.
It's behind you. So Biz Bolster, she went from 940 to 8395 because she said she's not very comfortable just doing staying with Wix and then uploading the audio She's not comfortable. So she added some work, and that's her total. And then Civic Plus, they countered with a discount, and this discount is only effective until the end of this month. So, like, for example, their one-time standard implementation, it went from 1,000 to 850. Their annual subscription went from 5,500 to 4,664. Plus 25% off year one subscription. First year audio is free. 5% off annual subscription, 44.30. That's their offer.
Gosh, I feel like I'm at the car dealership.
So very tempting.
So right now, in our budget, we have budgeted $8,945. Is that correct here? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I agree. We need to know that. Having to go back and do it like this.
And we really do not know, frankly. I mean, Rosanna nor I, we don't know. There's no technical specifications. We don't even know if they're giving us apples to apples with these numbers, really. So yeah, I think an RFP will be good. I'll work with Rosanna. We'll search the internet. I know they have them because this is a newer thing everybody's doing, and we'll go to work and bring something back, hopefully for the next meeting if we can. I hear that I've just heard the 8,000 number. Whatever it's over that, I always like to stay a little under. Yeah, so I would put out there 8,000 as our budget.
All right, tab 10D, the CBP facility project. Here, I know Scott, or sorry, I'm sorry, Commissioner Moore, was working on a, summary of work. Statement of work.
Right, so this was my first draft, um, at the, phase 3.2 of the, U.S. Customs and Border Protection usability for some Medina, would be the, planning, design, and development, planning, committee will be, for this project. Please review it, at your will. Think I hit all the points.
Commissioner Moore, the period performance,
Yeah.
November 25 to April 26.
Yeah, that's, this is just the design.
Right, so
Yeah, yeah, those were, that was, I just looked at 5 months,
I'm saying you talking about, it's talking about.
really different.
Maybe.
That's last year. Sorry, I didn't put the bracket across it, but I should. But I think this hits all the, at least from my notes that I think it hits all the middle. This is what, FDOT has requested to, release this fund.
This is to fulfill our grant we were awarded, it's a planning grant.
Yeah, this is a planning phase for construction.
So it's a grant. This is defining what we can spend that money. Right, so I've done, has asked us, what is the statement of work for this grant? So essentially, we can put whatever we want in here, in theory. How many money is intended for us, first one to plan it. But we have two different grants that are total of about $600,000. They both need a statement of work. And we want to make sure that the statement of work is broad enough so that if we only spend $50,000 on planning, we can use that money for. But if the statement of work says this is for planning, and that's it, and we only spend $50,000, that grant is done.
But the grant that this is prepared for will specifically for the planning phase of the construction. project. And then it's not a grant, it's legislative.
We're talking about the appropriation or both.
The grant.
I'm talking about both.
If you're extremely for that done, you can move the goalposts. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I thought asking us, what's the statement of work for this? Ours, what is included in this? What is this grant for? They haven't limited us to planning only. And again, I think $600,000 was a lot of money to plan. Maybe not, but maybe that's. So we want to make the definition of the statement of work broad enough so that, again, we can continue to get actual site prep and building material, demos, demolition, whatever. Yeah.
Chair.
And so, but that has to be in the statement of work, right? If we only make a plan, that's what you spend on.
Yes, I agree with Pierre because they did say, FDOT did say in one of the meetings to make the scope broad enough so we can use it for many things.
Okay. Well, this amendment is just for the planning phase, and we need to, rewrite it, any things to broaden it. So we need to be added.
Just throw that thought.
For me.
No, I understand it's from you.
Oh, yeah, the MDOT grant was the planning phase.
No, when I'm asking you, this, the structure written, is that copied from sample from that document like that? Okay, so I would suggest we contact Dot maybe, and just ask them what this statement of work needs to include. Just to, and make it be one lot, rather than all this, I don't know.
Chair.
Yes.
So Commissioner Hill is appointed to FDOT, but can Commissioner Moore contact? I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, anybody can contact.
Yeah. It's which is that essential
okay.
advice and banking, stable report, just have something for everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Great job, thank you for taking over. What is your?
Thank you for clarifying. And will be contacting?
Yeah. I definitely would. And since you're working on this piece, we get things in those.
So the direction is to get direction from them and then expand it to include its design build.
Hey, what Pierre's saying is like, get their take on what they want to see.
Yeah. How much information? Is this a one sentence thing you're looking for? Or a 3-page description? Or two very.
Any other questions? We don't have 10E.
Good question, sorry, just thought there. Would it make sense to just call it design build, but then if we exhaust the funds, we try to use another way for the same project that was completed, because it's not quite enough to do the whole thing, but it's more than we need just for the planning phase.
Right, but if you put the statement of work as planned, and we only spend $50,000. So,
Construction,
right,
but is it okay for us to then later, you don't complete the project to
Yeah.
apply for the same?
yeah, in other words, next phase would be additional building materials or additional demolition work and all that. And not, the next grant would be demolition and building or whatever, right? So this is planning, demolition, site plan, and building, the next one will be, they can overlap, doesn't matter. Exactly, I'll just say that's been a constant, obviously, how these grants are written and the state of the work define what we use this money for, and we've had, okay, can we find a project? Just bid, statements of work that were written by someone previously. Okay, we want to do that, or how do we make the statement of work fit with what we want, right? If we have grant money available, can we make this project fit to? That's always a challenge, so.
Thank you. Chapter E, ACH payments, Rosanna.
So I received a notice that FMIT and USCBP are requiring payments through ACH. So I need board approval to do that. And we've drafted procedures and a resolution.
And, Mr. Chair, I was the first to go through, we're going to put up a marked up version of Rosanna's draft. These are all very minor things. We're recommending approval, but we want to show you the changes. Since the packet was published, my changes were shown and marked up in red copy. And then, Pierre went ahead and put his changes in, and his show up as blue. And his are more, obviously related to banking and things like that. So what we're recommending is that you approve this resolution tonight with the additional amendments that you see in blue. There's going to be there.
No, it's not going to be there because I incorporated your revisions and Pierre's
And then
revisions. So this is the final.
Okay, okay. Is there a way for us to project what we got? No,
Your revision?
no, the document that we got from Pierre today.
No, I didn't
I-
save it in that.
I got you.
So I think so, just to make it, it's two rivers, okay, R06, R07. Resolutions do two things, the way they're seeing the person, the versions that they had. And essentially they approve the authority for us to make ACH payments. Okay, and then they refer to that those will be controlled by the policies that you've seen. Those policies haven't changed. So you're simply approving the policy that's attached to the
Resolution.
resolution. So what essentially the changes that we made from the version you had was there was some record keeping and all that stuff that was included in the resolution that didn't need to be there because that's in the policy. And they want to repeat what the policy says in case there's differences in wording or interpretation or whatever. So essentially, it's a resolution is very straightforward. They authorize us to do for FMIT when it's forever, so they're specific. So you're approving ACH for each vendor. So FMIT, we're approving resolution to, as I said, release ACH payments for FMIT. And then the second one would be USCP. And then the second part of the resolution says that this will be done in accordance with the policy as attached. Those policies haven't changed since they were distributed by Rosanna. So the two policies, and they're slightly different because CBP is a monthly payment and very small, mostly. CFMIT is a very large payment, it's only once a year. So as I said, there's some differences in how they're approved, the record keeping and all that kind of stuff. But the policy explains that out. So as I said, the resolution is essentially approving the ACH payment and then approving the policy.
I'd like to make a motion to draft the resolution.
With the motion from Mr. Hill.
That's for resolution 6.
And seven, 6 and 7.
Take them together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Six.
Yes,
Resolutions.
you may.
Okay. Do we have a second, Commissioner Ward? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Tab 11A, relist of property, 332 North Third Street. And then because the other one, Danny, I had a question as far as to bring it back for consideration.
Same thing.
So same thing, so. Okay. So just add.
Well, I'm looking for it to be done for that home. We voted, we may not vote not to do this, but we had already voted. Yeah, we sell the property. We're just going to make and motion to the last meeting that we re-engage in at the original policy we agreed to, that we all agreed to for this one.
Is that a motion
I will put it into the form.
to reconsider?
But we'll make a question to reconsider, but it's gotta be somebody who voted.
You voted no, so you can't.
But if you don't like it, stuff, we do it.
Not realistic.
Hey, but there's more voting to sell. And the vote was to sell the property.
That's the point.
What do we do to get it back on the sale? And the option for us to go is suggest indicated that we just stay at that same level. If
What was the original motion you're referencing, prior motion of the board to sell property? Do you remember what that resolution is?
To sell the property.
Do you remember what resolution? No.
you interviewed each
I mean, we can always research it and put it on the next agenda.
I think we need more information to conservators, because you can't. If you're not able to bring it back up as far as listing.
It doesn't sound like any of the other commissioners are wanting to reconsider the vote on listing the property. So there's that dies. And so I think that you can, that's a valid point. If we, well, let's research it and see if there is left out there a decision by the board to sell the property, then we should discuss it. Figure out how or if, because that, you can change your mind. You know, out there from months ago, or yeah, it was months ago, that the board decided to list the property. You can also change your mind and say, yes, we decided to sell the property, but we're discussing it again, and now we feel differently. Now we're going to say we don't want to sell the property. And if that is what OHPA wants to do, so that's my recommendation. We look at it, see if we can find it, and put it on the next agenda if we can, or an upcoming agenda if that pleases the board.
Jen?
And it took more than to get it listed. And then by the time we got Elizabeth, the listing was just for a certain amount of period,
Gotcha.
and that's fine.
Sure. It's resolution 2024 R07. OPA property sale.
So the tenant should review that. Not the tenant, the new review that.
Mhm.
We have that option. So,
Yes.
You need a copy of that.
have 11 detail on security contracts. 3 minutes. Let's go through your small units and.
I was not paying attention.
We're on Allied.
Lease renewal, oh, I'm sorry.
Are we on Allied?
We're on Allied Security.
Okay.
So the issue here is that, the OPA has Allied Security. There was, I forget if it was 21 or 22. We entered into a contract with them. It's been at least 3 years since, there was an RFP, I believe, or we chose to use Allied Universal. And so we had a renewal of their contract for another year before us. And Ted said, hey, I wanted to look at this. And since we pay the bills, then I'd like to do that. He said, sounds fine. Ted asked Rosanna, well, sent all of us an email and said, call for quotes. Here's a few other firms. And even though it is not over $200,000 in this, big capital project type funding, I think it's a good idea not to call for quotes, and to do an RFP, which I went ahead and whipped up an RFP from our last RFP and just changed some dates and stuff like that. And we get it out on the street, and anybody, when we do the RFPs or we do bids, right, there are, just so you know, there are no different rules in terms of, you can direct that right to, somebody that you think is great. They don't have to find it and go through specific, they just have to respond to it. So, Rosanna posts those on Demand Star and, everywhere we normally publish it. And then you can, or anybody here, if you know security people that you like to use, go ahead and make sure they see the RFP. It'll be my proposal. My suggestion was that we have it, if you approve the RFP and that process, then by October meeting, I think that's October 15th, is one of our regular OPA meetings.
Right.
We would have the proposals come in on Friday, October 10th, be, compiled and then sent to you all, and hopefully a decision made on.
Feel that's Tom?
Do you?
All right.
It's up to you
Correction.
guys. A month is very standard for public bidding, very standard.
Correction, that's October 8th and the 22nd.
Okay, so we can leave it. I just wanted to leave like at least time to get an agenda out with the proposals. So I was probably looking at the 22nd and then thinking around October 10th. It's very standard for a month because if you look at the RFP, we're not asking for, I know it takes a lot of time to put some of these documents. We're not like every reference that you have back to 2014 and, any kind of design. It's just like, give us your rates and it should be enough.
I think Commissioner Moore had a question.
It expired.
It's already here and it's already been.
Right, that's why I said at the last meeting, it renews automatically if it's not terminated. It's just like a rolling contract. And we can terminate with 30 days written notice. So should the board pick another firm, Allied is obviously able to respond also, then we just do a termination and bring the other one on board.
Mr. Chair, I have a thought that, we have contracts, we have terms, we have agreements, and we don't abide by them. We should have already addressed this issue. It already has gone into rollover into another year as of August the 9th. Here we are, the 10th of September, and we're talking about putting it up for bid. That's ludicrous. We failed to do diligence on it. It's this commission's responsibility to address that contract. Nobody said who until I contacted Allied and said, hey, you need to send us this. And they did. And I've seen that our court attorney got involved in it. And now we're here even bringing up, hold on, you know what, I think we're gonna put this out. Yeah. Well, it's already renewed. So what does that say about this board? They let the dollar short. And to me, it's disturbing. We should have been on this, even if we had to contact Allied and say, look, your contract is coming to an end. Because it was for 1 year, not a 20-year contract. We should have been on top of this and said, look, we want to put this out, bid, we want to put it out, RFP, whatever the case may be. We did it. Now, a month after they've already been working under the existing contract, now we want to come up with something. I think it's critical. Today, first hour.
Surely the renewal date, I don't see that, well, it's not searchable, but is that in the document attached, the renewal?
I don't know because I don't have the packet, the entire packet out.
The old contract is not attached. This is the new contract.
Oh, this is the new.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this,
But it's pretty much the same.
right. We initially entered into the contract with Allied back when we did the bid in
2022.
2022.
If it's just like this, it says if you had reviews on a month-to-month basis, so that it gives
Yeah.
it time to do. Or go through that process at the year anniversary. It doesn't read as if it's reviewed for another year.
My point is this commission, we should have already addressed this.
Well,
We should have.
just, I just would like to comment on that, because if you work in contract law. And when you have a services agreement that you don't want to lapse, it's normal to have a renewal provision to allow the parties time to discuss the renewal as they see fit for their business needs while they continue to provide services. And so just the way the agreement is written, it contemplates that upon renewal, there may be a need to continue services month to month while we're discussing the term of the renewal for the year. And it doesn't renew, it renews, a month before a budget, which I think is actually positive. Maybe we should, ask for it to be once.
Right.
I mean, I don't see, I wouldn't expect them to complain if we just wanted to bid on an annual basis, that's.
I completely understand Commissioner Nelson, but I want to be clear too, and it's not for, this was done at the request of the operator. Your staff here was prepared to move forward with this new contract with Ally. This is not because the attorney got involved. This is the attorney got involved. I got involved to review the new contract. And when we sent this, and we always talk to the operator, Ted stepped in and said, hey, we're paying for this. We need to have a say. He's new here and he wants a say. So that was my solution.
That's all. I meant no harm by any means. And when Rosanna sent me the documents from 2022, it's actually only two bidders bid, and one of the bidders submitted a bid after the deadline. So this was really like a one bid contract back then, I believe. So that's why I said, well, there's a lot of security firms out there. I mean, I have no problem with keeping the incumbent if everything's equal, but what if somebody out there can provide better value? I don't know. It's just a question I had. And I meant no harm by it.
So from the in the industry, like Commissioner Hill is saying, where commercial contract, transactions, this is very normal to behave in this way. But I understand that if for some reason Allied, and they're not here to represent themselves, thought, oh gosh, well, we have another year renewal on our contract and now we're going to pull the rug out, that would be not a nice thing to do. So your option is certainly from a legal standpoint, you can put this out to bid and you can have bidders in, you can award it, not award it, see what's out there. That's all written into the RFP that this board can reject, you can, throw everything out. You can do that, and it is something that is actually the responsibility of this board to do every so often, every few years. You need to go out for competitive solicitation. And so the other option you have to address Commissioner Nelson's concerns is just let this 1 year go. And now we are on notice that our operator is interested in looking at other options. We let this contract go. My gosh, it'll be here next August before you know it. We let it go through the next year and we can let Allied know the same. You're good for the next year. We're going to go ahead and do a competitive bid process next summer. So that's your other option. Or do nothing and just let this just keep where it is.
I'm gonna make an assumption here. And you just said about assumption. Assuming that the verbiage you were saying in the actual contract is the proposed contract. It says the term of this agreement shall be for a period of 1 year annual and that they will. This agreement requires to continue thereafter on a month-to-month basis until terminated by either party on 30 days written. So if we're operating under the other one, we didn't agree by going beyond the date, term or the 1 year termination date of the initial contract. It's just that the second part of the contract is allowed a second part, second sentence of the contract allows for the termination after 30 days. Basically, we didn't agree by going beyond the date, they're on another 1 year contract. We agreed that they're on a 30-day contract, which are active to use.
They were
Assuming that the language.
they were guaranteed the first year, and that was the only year they were guaranteed. Everything else was month to month after that.
So they've been.
That's how that's a agreement.
Since
So typically service providers want an agreement in place because.
That's, I'm assuming they sent us this. We didn't ask for it. They sent us the new agreement. Right.
Wants to establish a relationship and they would engage you early before the deadline to renew, so you have time to. But I think they do a good job. I love it. I love the fact that if you visit the board, it's really folks, they do the front desk as their priority. This company is very well respected and huge in their effort. But the individuals that are employed at those folks that are stationed at the board for many years. I know, for a while.
What's more pleasure? Would you like the other options you give us?
Are the rates going up by 3% or the maximums? Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know, Rosanna?
I do not.
Inflation or 3%. But then
Did they give us new rates?
Page it says 3%.
It says 3% in the 2022 contract. It says 3%.
And then we look at the it's short, I guess it's exhibit A, page 5, it says 3%. Also pay for vacations for any officer that has 2 more years experience at the site, or I guess relay pays for the vacation. Yeah.
Again, I'll just reiterate this again, the facts are 2022 solicitor RFP, it was really only applied to by one firm. It's been 3 years. I'd like to see what else is out there, just from a rate perspective. See if it's a needle mover, or not. And that's really like my whole motivation.
Carolina, we did.
It's one of those flags. You move with the poll. I will second. The second, Mr. Moore. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No. Tab 11C, the Peck Center lease renewal. The new rates. This is really just requesting renewal to lease here. So the letter is attached that we need to send to the city to I guess was their intent to
Just to confirm, yeah, the new numbers are less than the budget projection.
they're not, if you look at that side, but yes, there might be. That was the only change, so it was so minor. I think it was. But it will be in the change stuff that.
Yes. I make a motion that, you approve the request, renewal agreement. That.
Ready to go 51? Second, Mr. Cole, all in favor? Tab 11D, compliance with section 189.06944 for statute special district. We have a speaker card for that. Mr. Bob Richard.
Offer sheet 424 North Third Street. I got a bit confused on this. When I looked at the attachment, which is a 5-year capital expenditure plan, it shows in 2025 expenses for a new fabric warehouse. Do we mean the old fabric warehouse or a new one? So I need clarification.
So this is provided, split rate provided us keys here. So it's gonna be the numbers as of that time when Mr. Harris was here to go.
But you can see the expense, my question really is, there's no contribution by anybody to the cost of the warehouse. And the expenditures look like May, June, July, August of 2025. And the other warehouse was built in 2024. April, it was started April 2024. So my question really, I'm confused. Is this an entirely new warehouse? You just refer to the one single question right now.
I'm not aware of a new warehouse.
No new warehouse.
Correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the original plan? I said before this predates my sentences of the board. The original plan is for a warehouse with an option there.
That there was, yes, that
It was probably both items that you're talking about, the 2025.
Or you can see
Achieve that.
you look at the attachment,
Yeah,
you can see 2025 is the expenditure.
yeah, I think
And the other warehouse was completed in 2024 April.
I think that was for the original plan, which was for the potential for a second warehouse, which is definitely rejection. Which has been ODE for this one more than purchase.
So Commissioner Moore, if that's the real answer, then I'm on that. Because that would tell me that, we're not looking at a new warehouse. We're just trying to resolve the existing warehouse.
Right.
Which is a different issue. Thank you.
Yeah.
more comments. Questions, actually.
I have a question. So we're supposed to post our achievements on our website per the If you remember that from last year.
And it's a little bit more, I'm gonna try to find another example from another city. This is a new law that became effective last year. And it's applied to all special districts in the state. And I can give you my guess as why legislature wanted to pass this or do something like this, but and it's going to be, or could be onerous on us in the sense that we have Rosanna as her staff. But what this is developing performance goals, measures, metrics for every single program, slash projects that we do. And so when I read this, right, and those of us that had any kind of dealings with these activities, if you do it the right way, it takes a lot of time, and collaboration. So we have to do this by December 1st. Arguably, I have not looked at the bill itself yet. I plan to do that this week, but we probably should have been doing this for last December 1st and didn't know, but we're gonna do it now. So I will try to find out what other ports are doing.
So, state council has determined that the five strategic will develop on the board of Seaport by FSTED meets the requirements for all.
Perfect.
So they develop and maintain that on an annual basis. And this is the information you provide them to incorporate into that report of our.
Good.
So really the key is for us to work with
FSTED.
and T to update the capital expenditure plan so that the first call, like the January to December is for the coming year. Which is weird for us because we have a different fiscal year. We would look at the annual year to just revise. That covers to the previous page of the packet. Is the explanation for us. So it's updated annually with the 5-year book, just rolling.
That's helpful.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Very helpful, yeah.
So if I read this correctly, it's just technically noted that the 5-year Florida Seaport Mission Plan, which is required by section 311.0, what was submitted was in compliance for all the boards.
Yes, but they want us to update it.
Correct. We need to update it moving forward. But what they submitted was in compliance. The minimum company that the or capital expenditure plan.
And actually, on their website, it looks like they published a plan in 2025, right? The 2025 to 2029 Seaport Mission Plan. So on the website. So Rosanna, did they tell you when the deadlines?
If you remember from last year when we got the notice, it has to be posted on our website by the end of December.
It says December
This-
1st in the statute.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. It says by December, I have it.
December 1st,
By December 1st.
because our former OPA attorney told me to bring it up again this September on the agenda to just remind the board.
Yes, search their plan to see if it goes from,
I just need to know what am I supposed to post? This one?
It sounds like our 5-year, our plan, right? Commissioner Hill?
Well, they already have a plan, it's published in the on their website, you've already missed this.
Yeah, I think I included that in the email.
We have to put it on ours as well, in accordance with the statute.
But
Must
have updated. So whoever they really are. Do you know, Rosanna, have you provided the information this year?
When we met with FSTED, we just updated our priority list. That's what I provided to FSTED. And the former terminal manager was on the call.
Okay, so I'm able to see on their board person's website, they do have board friendly lists. And they have they have a 5-year capital improvement plan, but there's nothing in the columns for 2027, 2028, 2029. It only shows that U.S. Customs and Border Control facility in grants support. There's a vendor system replacement grant for 263,000 listed. Our top trading partner in Ecuador, top 5 in Ecuador. This looks like it was updated this year, so that's why I'm just kind of confused, like, who gave the allocation? They haven't, they were done that without reaching out.
Right.
So, you know, if there's something listed, it's just possible to do an update what we've got on this. About them, if you see. Really don't have touch. Someone should reach out, to my people now. I think we did last year, if my memory is correct, is that we provide the information that said they published in the report and we provide a link on the website. For that information.
Would that suffice me, a link or would that be? Just information, so. On our side.
I mean, I don't know the answer. We can research it. I could guess an answer, but I really don't know. I mean, to find out an answer, you mean linking to the Ports Council that has our, if it needs to be, number one, it needs to be updated every single year and posted on our website. So I think the intention is that OPA is going to look at this plan every year and make any adjustments. May not be a lot of adjustments, but make adjustments every year and then put that onto the website on December 1st.
Yeah, in the email I gave you guys the link. It was sent September 3rd under agenda September 10th, 2025. There's a link there and you can see the Port of Fernandina.
This was last year.
No.
It sounds to me that in order to avoid further delay and us kind of guessing is that I'll work with Rosanna to find out what exactly we have to do, what other boards are doing, and we'll let you know. Is that fair, Rosanna? So it's not on you to figure out what we have to do, and we'll come back and let you know. And we'll start with that. We do have plans already in place, and we'll see what we have to do with them to comply.
We have the office manager report, yeah.
My report is attached to the meeting and just a few updates. WIC's I have to pay Wix renewal on September 22nd because should I renew it or I don't know. I guess if we cancel the Wix, they will refund the remaining balance.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Okay, so I'll just pay that. The PIDP was successfully submitted Friday, and thank you for Doug and Marianne of Aptim. They were very helpful. They walked us through the process, and Commissioner Moore was there. Thank you, and Pierre helped as well. Um, Also, I want to say that you missed thanking the city vice mayor for the letter of support for the PIDP. So,
Can't miss thinking of the vice mayor.
I mean, he did.
For letter of support.
And we submitted the rural and tribal assistance. Commissioner Moore helped with that on Monday. And thank you, Commissioner Hill, for keeping a tally on Mrs. Box and my time logged for the property appraiser matter. We're doing a lot of work for the discovery. Thank you, Mrs. Bach, for your help with the PRR search for documents. And I will be submitting a letter of engagement for my contract renewal at the next meeting for board approval. And I will be attending a class, AI class tomorrow at the economic development. So I will not be available until after the class. And it's from 9 to 11. There you have it.
Commissioner Iris, Mr. Moore. Mr. Hill.
Sarah, and Commissioner Moore, especially with Sarah for your staff for helping with these grant applications. It's a really big deal right here. I guess this how much effort is going on together with the written responses for litigation. Was increased a lot. So it's cyclical, so it won't be this way all the time, but right now it is really intense. So I just want to say on record, we appreciate you and you're doing really, really good job. So
Mrs. Bond helps.
I did have an item. I wrote a letter of recommendation for our former director, Nora Bello, to be sent to our US senators who are will have the honor and task of confirming her as commissioner to the federal Maryland Commission. So I prepared the letters and you have signatures at the bottom, your chance to sign. So that we can deliver a letter of recommendation with 5 commissioner signatures. I thought would be a proper decision. So I don't know the Deckers, Senator Deckers and the others to Maria.
Thank you, Mayor. So, that's one to.
Okay, so just stay long enough to sign with the pen.
Yeah, don't.
Paper. And another thing for fourth board meeting is tomorrow. I'll be there. And the Florida Department of Transportation is in the process of planning resurfacing projects along A1A. So you'll see flags, you'll see FPU is out moving poles. But this is, again, where you can see the benefit of flows funding, funding flows coming into our community to shore up stormwater and resurfacing and to harden our existing infrastructure. I'm thinking about the island. But that's in the engineering phase. So if you're interested in what is contemplated as part of that resurfacing project, those plans are available for Department of Transportation or with our city or county planning offices, engineering offices, they have those plans.
Thank you.
We discussed the blood and that's what I like to hear that.
Mr. Cole.
TPD and for that motion is long and for DRA with Franklin. And to the left, we have a picture that's on PI and Cyrus is where
also, if you can to us as an investor, we have an investor appreciation. Thursday, September 25th, at the customer is from 6 to 8. And I'll remember this again. That's all I have.
And then I'll just, quick, minor update on Front Street property. It's, we've been exploring, the opportunity, the county been exploring the opportunity, to there's some sort of agreement regarding this property and a potential fire station for both that they have a grant for with its construction and will be delivered December 2026. The county manager did speak with the county commissioners who seemed favorable to the idea. They started doing their due diligence and an appraisal has been ordered this week. So the appraisal will look at the options of a lease and the option of a sale. So looking at two options and then really just present them and then you go okay, you know what long it takes. But it is moving. They still get the rebuttal. The conversation about it. Another thing I do want to just mention, I just feel like one of our greatest rights is our freedom of speech. And we can have debate, we can have disagreements, and we have those inside this room, we have them amongst each other. But we always leave it here, we can shake hands and walk away. Today, there was assassination of John Kirk, who has been a staunch conservative, but enters into those debates and discussions, really just have again conversation amongst each other. Was shot and killed today, and it's an attack on our freedom of speech, an attack on our democracy, and so I just felt the need to say that, make those comments in the society. We just had to do better. But I want to thank all of you for what you do, and even the public, you coming here, what you do. We're not always going to agree. We're going to have some disagreements, but you know what? That's what makes America great. And we're able to do that and move forward and go to our dreams.